Hello, and welcome to the programme that we're calling Visible Results. The visible results that businesses can achieve with new technology. We want to show you just how easy it is for any business, however large or small, to seize the opportunities offered by the new developments in information and communication, an aim that's shared by the government's own Information Society initiative. The technological revolution is all around us. And in this programme, we'll be using some of those new and nearly new methods of communication that businesses themselves could soon be embracing. Besides our guests here in the studio at the University of Plymouth, all three of whom we'll be talking to in a moment, we're joined by four sites in Cardiff, Birmingham, Pendle in Lancashire, and also in London in Docklands. They're linked to us using video conferencing technology. And later on in the programme, you can also join us if there are any issues that you wish to raise with our panellists. You can email us by accessing the MMDP website, and it's at www.multimedia.isi.gov.uk, or you can telephone us on 01752 233636. That's 01752 233636. But the first word goes to the DTI itself. Patricia Hewitt is the Minister for Small Business and E-Commerce at the Department of Trade and Industry. So just how far does government intend British business to go with information and communications technology?
Well, the Information Society initiative is government's way of reaching out to small businesses and saying, look, there are fantastic commercial opportunities here.
And if you don't become IT familiar, IT educated, as it were, there is a danger that you might become disenfranchised from an electronic society.
Well, we are determined not to allow a society of information haves and information have-nots to emerge here. And one reason for not just wiring up the schools, but putting in community IT centres, is to make sure that very low-income areas have got access to this technology, and that families in poor areas who are never going to have a PC at home can again get access to them.
Well, you've heard of email, you've heard of e-commerce. There is our first e-minister, Patricia Hewitt. So there you have the scene. We have set it for you. You could halve your administration costs. You could reduce your delivery lead time by up to 80%. Let's turn to our guests in the studio for a second and just introduce you to them. Firstly, Shirley Rolfe, who is the DTI project manager for MMDP. Shirley, why has the DTI chosen to invest A, so much money, and B, so much time in making sure this area takes off?
Well, as Patricia Hewitt said, the ISI is all about persuading businesses to adopt new technology.
Chris Garcia, you are the coordinator for the local support centre networks, the LSCs as such, which must mean it's nice for you to actually stay in one place for more than 10 minutes.
Yes, you're quite right. There's a network now of 100 support centres right away across the country.
Let's head off to our first location now and join up with Cardiff. I should also explain to you that what we're using here is ISDN 6 video conferencing technology, so it's not pure broadcast technology. It's the sort of thing you could actually use in your own office. There is a slight time delay, and you can see the quality of the picture slightly different from broadcast, but it works fascinatingly well. Tony Davis, can I turn to you, the chairman of e-commerce at the University of Cardiff. We're talking about here what is very obviously useful for a country like Wales, where you have companies in inaccessible locations. But ICT is working well for urban Wales too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. We do actually have projects right across Wales.
Now, one MMDP project designed to help people take control of their lives is the Putting Patients First initiative. Brought together by a multimedia development company with long experience in this field and also two of the world's leading eye hospitals. It involves the use of touchscreen kiosks to provide patients with easy-to-understand information on the medical conditions glaucoma and rheumatism. And to do that, well, perhaps one of the most significant elements of new technology for business is e-commerce. It's a word that raises more questions than it answers. So what does e-commerce actually mean? Well, for some, it's simply the ability to take credit card orders on a website. But for others, it is a whole new way of doing business. Now, undoubtedly, e-commerce is something which will affect us all at some time, as more of us obtain services online as well as shopping from home. We'll be hearing what the government thinks about it later on in the programme. But central to the success of the e-commerce revolution is the role of the UK banks. Nigel Ashworth is Head of Electronic Commerce at the Royal Bank of Scotland in Edinburgh, and instead of being in Edinburgh, he joins us from our remote site in London. Nigel, are UK banks doing enough to help people?
I think we are starting to. I think we are starting to address this issue now.
And then the tickets themselves can either be collected from the box office, they can be posted to you, and in some cases you may even be able to print out a ticket voucher on your own printer at home and use that to get in to see the show.
And Peter Bayard joins us from Docklands right now. Good afternoon, Peter. Talking to Nigel a little bit earlier, he was saying that obviously there's some caution amongst the banks about their approach to e-commerce. It does raise security issues. Is that the right approach? That they're obviously in a position of trust. Is that the right way to handle it?
Well, we have a lot of sympathy with the risk management problems that the banks do have.
In other words, the technology is up there and working. It's just the rest of us, the standards of commercial society, that haven't quite caught up yet.
To some extent, that's true.
75% of e-commerce is business-to-business commerce, even though business-to-consumer is actually not only sexier, but the one that gets all the headlines. So business-to-business commerce is surely, something that the government would do well not to interfere with, really.
The role of government, as we see it, is to facilitate the emergence of that.
Anne Wright, thank you very much indeed for joining us. And again, Anne will be available for questioning a little later on. Let's stay on the theme of training, because our next MMDP project takes us to the north of England, and it aims to help small businesses confront a classic dilemma. You know that training is essential for staff development, but you also know that it eats into work time. So what's the solution? A classic application for new media, what they call a virtual college. I think I'm going to choose to go to Birmingham next, if that's all right, and pick up this question from Alicia Stevens in Bristol. Julia Schofield will hopefully be able to hear me in Birmingham, and I can see Julia's there. Julia, so many people seem to be jumping on the internet bandwagon, and it all seems to have happened overnight. So how does a small business select reputable suppliers?
I think that the first thing is to actually know what you want.
Julia, thank you. Let me turn now to a question from Graham Bond in Gloucester, and I'm going to fire it at Nigel and Peter in Docklands in just a second, but before that I'll ask Alan. Nobody seems to have talked about security in online trading. What is the potential liability for a small company which begins trading in this way?
From our perspective, one of the interesting things in our research we've discovered is that there is a lot of insecurity about using credit cards on the net.
Let's go to Docklands and Nigel Ashworth. Come on, you've got an image problem here, haven't you? If you really want to make e-commerce work, how are you going to get over this?
I think the issue with security is an interesting one.
And we've come to the end of our satellite slot, although I know that the debate will continue in each of our panel locations, and judging from what we've had, it's going to be quite heated debate as well. Our thanks to our hosts here at Plymouth University, to our remote facilities around the country, and of course to the participants from the projects that we featured during the course of the programme, and indeed Chris and Alan and Shirley, our guests in the studio. We hope you've been stimulated by this afternoon's debate, and that you'll take the lead from one or more of these innovative projects and create visible results of your own. The address of the MMDP and ISI websites are going to appear on your screens fairly shortly, but in the meantime, from me, John Briggs, thank you for watching and goodbye.